All right, let's get started. Today, we're diving into a really critical topic from your social media analytics syllabus: key performance indicators, or as you'll always hear them called, KPIs. Getting this right isn't just about the exam, it's about understanding how to speak the language of success in the digital world. Okay, let's cut right to the chase. The big question is, how do you nail this question in your exam and get full marks? Well, you've come to the right place. We're going to build that perfect answer together, piece by piece. So here's the thing. The university really likes answers that are structured in a specific way. And this is it. This is the golden formula: definition, types, example, and formulas. If you follow these 4 steps, you are putting yourself on the fast track to scoring top marks. And that's exactly the roadmap we're going to follow in this explainer. First things first, let's build a really solid foundation. We need to nail down what a KPI actually is, and just as importantly, get why it's so crucial for any social media strategy. And here we have it. This definition, this is the one you'll want to write down, maybe even word for word. Put simply, KPIs are just the specific numbers you track to figure out if all that effort you're putting into social media is actually helping the business hit its targets. So, why do we even bother with all this tracking? Well, because KPIs are so much more than just numbers on a screen. They're basically your strategic compass. They tell you what's working and what's a waste of time, which helps you make way smarter decisions and, prove that your social media work is actually delivering real, tangible value. Okay, now for the real core of this topic. Look, there are tons of KPIs you could track, but there are a few that are absolutely essential. Let's break down the main types that you must include in your exam answer. First up, we have reach. And the most important word here, the one you need to remember, is unique. If one person sees your post 5 times, your reach is still just 1. Simple, right? This number tells you the total size of the audience you managed to get in front of. It's all about awareness. Now, let's compare that with impressions. This is the total number of times your content popped up on a screen. So if that one person saw your post 5 times, that counts as 5 impressions. Here's a pro tip for your exam. Impressions will always be higher than or equal to your reach. Next is engagement, and this is where it starts to get really interesting. It's one thing for people to just see your content, right? It's a whole other thing for them to actually interact with it. Likes, comments, shares, saves, all these things are signals that your audience isn't just scrolling by, they're actually paying attention. And all that engagement ideally leads to this, the KPI that businesses and clients care about the most: conversion. A conversion is when someone takes that specific, valuable action you wanted them to take, like buying a product, signing up for a newsletter, or downloading an app. This is the metric that directly links your social media work to real business results. Okay, if you really want to show that you've mastered this topic, you've got to speak the language of numbers. And that's where formulas come in. Seriously, including these in your answer shows the examiner you don't just know the theory, you know how to apply it. Let's look at the 3 most important ones. The engagement rate formula is super powerful because it adds context. It tells you what percentage of people who saw your post actually cared enough to engage with it. You just take your total interactions, that's your likes, comments, and shares all added up, divide that by your reach, and then multiply by 100 to get the percentage. Then you have the click-through rate, or CTR. This is absolutely vital for ads or any post with a link. It measures how many people who saw your post were interested enough to actually click on it. It's just your total clicks divided by your total impressions times 100. A high CTR is a great sign that your headline and image are working. And finally, the ultimate KPI, the big boss: return on investment, or ROI. This is the bottom line. It answers that one critical business question. For every single rupee we're spending on social media, are we actually making more than 1 rupee back? This is why it's the ultimate metric. It's all about financial success. What's really cool is how these KPIs kind of fit together, like they tell a story. You can think of it in 3 stages. First, you build awareness using reach and impressions. Then you create engagement with things like likes and comments. And finally, you drive conversion, turning all that attention into action. Look, theory is great, but a solid example is what makes it all click into place. So let's walk through a super simple Instagram campaign to see how these KPIs work together in the real world and tell us if a campaign was successful or not. Okay, so imagine a company runs a campaign. The post reached 5,000 unique users. That's fantastic awareness. It got 500 likes, which shows pretty solid engagement. But here's the kicker. It resulted in 50 sales. That's the conversion. That's the proof that the campaign didn't just get a bunch of attention, it actually drove business. See how each KPI tells a piece of the story? Now that you've seen how it works, it's really smart to mention some common mistakes people make. Focusing only on likes is a classic one. They look nice, but they don't pay the bills. The really big mistakes, though, are ignoring ROI or tracking metrics that have nothing to do with your actual business goals. Mentioning this in an answer shows you're thinking at a much deeper level. All right, this is it, the moment we've been building towards. We've gone through all the different pieces. Now let's assemble them into that perfect 2-paragraph answer that you can tweak for your own exam. For your exam, you want to start your answer with a really strong opening paragraph, just like this one. You lead with a crystal clear definition, and then you immediately list the most important KPI types: reach, engagement, ROI, and so on. This immediately tells the examiner, hey, I know my stuff. And then you follow that up with a second paragraph that explains the strategic importance, the why it matters part. You talk about how these KPIs help businesses track what's going on and make smarter decisions. Connecting the metrics back to business strategy is what takes your answer from just good to great. This is how you get those full marks. I know. That can feel like a lot to remember, especially under exam pressure. So I've got a little memory trick for the absolute core metrics. Just think RIECR. That's reach, impressions, engagement, conversion, and ROI. Reach. It covers the absolute essentials you need to mention. So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. For a brand new startup just getting off the ground, which of these KPIs do you think is the most critical? Should they focus on awareness and just get their name out there with reach? Or should they focus on building a community with engagement? Or just go straight for sales with conversion? There isn't one single right answer, but thinking about it will really help you apply this knowledge. Good luck with your exams.